sorry, has a lot of tools that can really catch you off guard if you don't know the matchup properly.
For sure. And Ghoodyghoody in particular, definitely no stranger to Rivals Recess. One thing you have to look at with him is that he loves fishing a lot. And Shovel fishing is actually a lot stronger than it seems. Definitely has its fair share of weaknesses that you kind of have to know to be able to prey on. I can see Pomme being really good at beating fishing though, because her edge guarding, if you're forced to come from below her, is some of the best in the game.
Seeing the fishing actually coming out one more time, and good percentage on to Pomme to take away that first stock too. And good money as well to see if they can take a break to see what type of items they're going to look for in this matchup.
Yeah. In the fair off stage. Ooh, very good note to patch the side B. That's going to be the big thing for Pomme, is that all of her stuff is just going to beat SK side B. And side B is one of his better recovery tools. I think for SK, your best bet's probably going to be to try going high, if possible. But that's not always easy. We haven't seen NosyNate use Vince so far. Which, at least in the current iteration of Pomme, is absolutely just her best move. It's probably might be the best move in the game.
Gotta go for the little cart as well as momentum mail for that survivability. 52% now, down up to 64.
Yeah.
But a solid stock advantage by Ghoodyghoody.
And with that momentum mail, it's gonna be a lot harder for Nate to find the stock.
Pomme does have a lot of solid moves that can hit really hard, but you gotta make sure that you're consistent when it comes to the approaches when it comes to that. And up strong is definitely gonna do it. Now Cyber, give me 1 second because I have the hiccups and I need water.
Oh, you're good. So yeah, like, I guess Vince is definitely Vince is one of the weirder moves in the game, so it can be a little bit awkward to start incorporating him into your play at first, but there's a lot of areas where using him is just gonna make you infinitely better, and that's really what jumps out at me at first, is like, when you, maybe not as much when you're watching the good Pommes, but when you're playing against, like, a good Pomme, you definitely feel just how much Vince is able to do. You see him a lot in edge guards especially, and I think that's probably the easiest place to use Vince is for edge guarding. I like the use of notes. You know, obviously that's going to be like the backbone, but depending on how much time you have to set up your edge guard, like Vince, notes, and fair all kind of create this big wall that the opponent has to like get past and respect, or even you don't even have to use like a melee move. You can just kind of float there behind Vince and then like double jump to catch them. And the main thing is that Vince sets up into so many of Pomme's kills that not using him is kind of going to contribute to the issue I was kind of seeing there, where NosyNate just wasn't able to find strong kill setups at any point in that game. But I will guess we will see what happens here in game 2. NosyNate's go into Air Armada. And I do like this H for Pomme. I think it's really good for her. It's also really good for Shovel Knight, but I think it's easier for Pomme to take advantage of the stage with her recovery being a lot more mobile. At the very least when it comes to like how much you need to get to the wall.
Some modifications actually done for game 2.
Yeah.
Trying to keep it as even as possible, but again, a little bit of difficulty when it comes to actually DIing stuff, and we're gonna see that a lot when it comes to novice brackets, and which is totally fine. And just remember, whenever you see a movement that's gonna send you to the side, just try to DI upwards. And then the contrary would be if they're gonna send you upwards, just try to hold to the side.
Yeah.
It's gonna be the main thing. Obviously, it depends on the tools that every character is gonna have, but that's the basic gist of it.
Alright.
Going for a little more dash attack onto the op strong, and it seems like maybe they actually held in that time, Cyber.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of the tricky thing with Shovel Knight is up strong doesn't send straight up. It sends at a bit of an angle. So you do actually have to DI, like, the way that he's facing, and he can't DI into him. Which creates a really deadly mix-up if you're in a spot where both up strong and F strong can hit you.
A little bit of difficulty as well, especially since they got hit by dash attack just before that up strong. Now 40% onto SK, looking pretty comfortable for the second game.
Yeah. Yeah, there we go. We're seeing Vince now. Not quite able to hit its mark.
I really like how Pomme is actually setting up the projectiles a lot more, using those notes to maintain SK just at a distance where they can't really get punished. As soon as they see them approaching, actually throwing out the projectile is actually pretty smart. But SK definitely not letting up that time. Ghoodyghoody taking that second game too.
Yeah. NosyNate, for his last counter pick for the set, is going to be picking Frozen Fortress. I'm not really sure I agree with this one. It's hard to say though. I think right now, NosyNate's having a hard time finding kills. And Frozen's blast zones aren't the biggest. The stage itself being fairly large can make it, like, trickier to put yourself in position. He's really going to need to make sure he's taking advantage of, like, the corners and those top platforms.
Sometimes you just prefer a little bit of space as well, just stop and think. See if maybe they can... Yeah, go ahead.
No, I mean, you're definitely not wrong about that. And Pomme, I don't really know what Pomme's bad stages would be. I definitely can't imagine this would be a bad stage. There's just definitely a bit of, like, making sure you're, you know, you're picking the stages that are going to also help your weaknesses as a player.
Let's send him out to the outside that time with Nair. Early lead by Pomme for 28%. So far, so good. Counter pick is looking pretty nice, giving that Pomme a little bit more room, but they need to be careful when it comes to actually dodging those mix-ups, as you mentioned before, Cyber.
Mm-hmm. Ooh. Oh, the spike coming out. You don't see that very often. But there it is.
Again, I really like the usage of the notes. But now a recognition done by Ghoodyghoody too. Seeing as well that Pomme is actually using those projectiles and just making sure that they parry it, see if they can punish a little more and get that stock.
Yeah. Nope. Yeah, there is a nice percent lead for NosyNate.
Yeah, definitely looking a lot more comfortable on this page. Just could be a space thing. Maybe they feel a lot more comfortable when it comes to actually moving around. They don't feel the pressure as much as they did in the previous stages. 121% actually is that really good lead so far. This could be the first game an opponent actually gets, but not if SK does anything to do about it, as they continue on to actually get a lot more aggressive that time.
Yeah, okay, up strong. That is not going to kill. It is fairly hard to kill SK when he gets momentum though, and that's really a big thing.
Could be differential. They tried to parry that, and I saw it, but the up strong not quite going to be enough for SK either. That time, it is going to do it.
Yeah, and that move's definitely a weird one. I recommend DIing down for that move and other similar angles. The up air is going to even out the game. I like the catch a lot. We haven't seen too many up air catches from Nate, but that's one of Pomme's better kill moves. It's really good to see it coming out now, if nothing else.
Yeah, they need to be careful when it comes to actually getting continuous hits on to the SK. We saw a lot of actually holding in to not get hit, but that's going to be it. Just fair onto the up special.
Yeah.
Closing out the stock in the game.
And that was really close to the blaster, and there wasn't a whole lot that Nate could have done there. So, good stuff from Goody. And that's kind of interesting, because I hadn't seen him